shift, the stakes are high. The mag breaks it down, no need to sigh. From EU rules to global news, Reg with Meg, your trusted views.
Hey everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Reg with Meg's weekly regulatory roundup. We have a massive topic to cover today, one that's going to impact anyone with medical devices on the Swiss market. We're doing a deep dive into the upcoming mandatory registration requirements and, you guessed it, the associated fees under the Swiss Database on Medical Devices, or Swissdamed.
That's right. Swissmedic dropped some significant new guidance during their webinar back on May 28, 2026. For anyone who missed it or is still trying to get their head around the details, we're here to break it all down. We're talking deadlines, fees, and what this all means for manufacturers and their Swiss Authorized Representatives.
Exactly. It's a lot to process, so let's start with the most pressing question. Who needs to register, and by when? Let's get into the deadlines.
Okay, so the fundamental rule is this. Registration in Swissdamed becomes mandatory for all devices, systems, and procedure packs for which individual sales units are placed on the Swiss market as of July 1st, 2026.
And that's a key point. It's for all devices. Swissmedic has been very clear that this applies to both the new regulation devices under MDR and IVDR, as well as legacy devices. There's no escaping this.
Right, no exceptions for legacy status. But here's where it gets interesting and where a lot of the confusion has been. They've outlined a crucial transition period.
The transition period. Let's unpack that because it's not quite a free-for-all.
Not at all. The transition period applies to all devices that are placed on the Swiss market before January 1st, 2027. This includes devices that were already on the market before July 1st, 2026, and importantly, it also includes devices that are first placed on the market after July 1st, 2026.
Okay, so what does that mean in practical terms for a manufacturer?
It means that manufacturers can continue placing their devices on the Swiss market throughout the second half of 2026 without having to complete the Swissdamed registration beforehand. But, and this is the big catch, that registration must be completed by December 31st, 2026.
Right, so it's a grace period, not a waiver. You can sell from July to December, but you're accruing a registration debt, so to speak, that absolutely has to be paid off by the end of the year. You can't just ignore it.
Exactly. A registration debt is a perfect way to put it. This transition period gives companies time to get their data together and complete the registrations, but the deadline is firm. So let's go through those key dates one by one.
Okay, let's do. First up, July 1st, 2026. This is the starting gun. The registration obligation for UDI devices officially begins.
So any UDI-DI for a device on the market on or after this date falls under the new rule. And again, all of those registrations need to be completed by December 31st, 2026.
Then, later in the year, we have November 9th, 2026. What happens then?
That's when the registration obligation begins for master UDI-DIs. Same deal here. The clock starts on November 9th, but the final deadline for getting those registrations done is also December 31st, 2026.
So basically, the last 6 months of 2026 are going to be a very busy period for regulatory affairs teams dealing with the Swiss market.
Extremely busy, which brings us to the most important date of all, January 1st, 2027. This is when everything changes.
Right. The grace period is over. From this date forward, registration must happen before you place a device on the Swiss market. No more sell now, register later.
That's the new reality. It fully aligns the process. If a device isn't registered in Swissdamed, it can't be legally placed on the Swiss market in Switzerland. It's as simple as that.
And there is one very important exception to all of this timeline discussion, isn't there? A scenario where you can't wait until the end of 2026.
Yes, an absolutely critical one. Immediate registration is required if you need to submit a report to Swissmedic because of an incident, a field safety corrective action, or a trend report.
That makes perfect sense. Of course, you can't report a problem with a device that officially doesn't exist in their system. The device has to be registered first so they can link the report to a specific product.
Exactly. It's a matter of traceability and patient safety. So, if an incident occurs with one of your devices in Switzerland, even during that transition period, you have to register that device in Swissdamed immediately before you can file the report. You don't get to wait until December 31st in that case.
Okay, so the deadlines are clear. Get everything registered by the end of 2026, and from 2027, register before market entry. But of course, registration isn't free. This brings us to the other big piece of news, the fees.
Right, the money talk. The Swiss Federal Council approved a new fee ordinance which has the catchy name Fee o Swissmedic, or SR 812.214.5 for those who love citation. This also took effect on July 1st, 2026.
And the basic principle is that fees will be applied to every single UDI/DI that has the market status of on the market. So if your device is actively being sold, it's going to have a fee attached to it.
That's the one. Let's break down the actual fee structure. It's calculated per calendar year, and it's per actor or foreign manufacturer. The fee level is two-tiered.
Okay, how does it work?
It's 200 Swiss francs for the first device registered in a calendar year. Then for every additional device registered in that same year, it's 20 Swiss francs.
So there's an incentive to register more in a way. The per device cost goes down significantly after the first one. But for companies with huge portfolios, that could still add up. Is there a cap?
There is, and a very important detail. There is a maximum fee of 10,000 Swiss francs per year, per manufacturer, or per person who assembles systems or procedure packs.
Okay, so let's do the math on that. The first device is 200 francs. That leaves 9,800 until you hit the cap. At 20 francs per device, that means you can register an additional 490 devices before you hit the limit.
Exactly. So your first device costs 200 francs, devices 2 through 491 cost 20 francs each, and then from device number 492 onwards in that same year, there are no additional registration costs. You've hit the 10,000 franc ceiling.
That's a huge relief for large manufacturers with thousands of UDI/DIs. It makes the cost predictable. It's also important to note what this fee is. Swissmedic says the registration fee is a one-time charge per UDI/DI.
A very important point. It's not an annual renewal fee. You pay once in the year you register it, and that's it for that UDI/DI. Each device is only invoiced once.
And they've also clarified what isn't charged. There's no fee for devices that are still in draft status in the system, which is good. There's also no fee for deleted devices.
Right, and crucially, updates to existing data are free of charge. So if you need to create a new version or update the information for an already registered UDI/DI, you won't get hit with another fee. That's a relief.
But there is a catch there. If you mark a device as discarded and then later need to re-register it, that counts as a new registration and a fee is payable. So be careful with that discard button.
Good tip. Okay, so we know the deadlines and we know the fee structure. The next logical question is, when do we actually have to pay? Let's talk about the billing schedule.
This is where all that registration work in 2026 comes to a head. The fees will be first assessed on December 31st, 2026. They'll basically take a snapshot of the database at the end of the year.
Right, and the fee will be based on all devices that have the status on the market at that specific date. This creates a very interesting strategic opportunity for manufacturers.
It certainly does, because Swissmedic has explicitly stated that any devices marked as no longer placed on the market as of December 31st, 2026 will not incur a fee for that year.
So, this is a perfect time for some portfolio housekeeping. If you have older devices or variants that are being phased out, make sure their status is updated in Swissdamed before the end of the year to avoid paying unnecessary registration fees on them.
A very pragmatic piece of advice. So once they take that snapshot on December 31st, the first invoices for all that 2026 registration activity are expected to be issued in January 2027. So Happy New Year, here's your bill.
Pretty much. After that initial big batch of invoices, the process becomes more regular. Starting from January 31st, 2027, invoices will be issued at the end of each calendar month, but only for devices that were newly registered during that month.
Okay, that makes sense. So devices you register in January 2027 will be invoiced at the end of January. Registrations from February will be invoiced at the end of February, and so on. It becomes a rolling monthly process.
Precisely. The final and perhaps most critical piece of the puzzle is who actually receives the invoice.
Yeah, this is huge for budgeting and operations. The invoice will be addressed to the registered actor in Swissdamed, but there's a key distinction for non-Swiss companies.
For foreign manufacturers, as well as for those from foreign persons who assemble systems or procedure packs, the invoices will be sent directly to their Swiss Authorized Representative, the CH Rep.
This really underscores the importance of the relationship between a foreign manufacturer and their CH rep. The CH rep is not just a regulatory contact, they are now a financial intermediary in this process. Clear agreements need to be in place about how these fees will be handled and reimbursed.
Absolutely. And Swissdamed clarified that the fee cap is charged per manufacturer, not per CH rep. So if a CH rep represents 10 different manufacturers, each of those 10 manufacturers has their own individual 10,000 franc cap. The CH rep doesn't just have one single cap for all his clients.
That's a very logical and fair way to structure it. Okay, wow, that was a lot of information. Let's try to boil it down to the key takeaways for our listeners. What are the absolute must-knows?
I think takeaway number one is the 2026 transition period. You can continue to place devices on the market, but you must have them all registered by December 31st, 2026. Do not miss that deadline.
Right. And takeaway number two, starting January 1st, 2027, the rule changes to no registration, no market access. It becomes a prerequisite.
Number three is about the fees. Remember, it's a one-time fee per device, and that 10,000 franc cap per manufacturer is your budget's best friend if you have a large portfolio.
And finally, key takeaway number four, that first big bill is based on your portfolio status on December 31st, 2026. Use the time until then to clean up your product list and mark any discontinued items as no longer placed on the market to save on fees.
That's the best advice. Be proactive. Don't wait until the last minute. This is a significant operational and financial change, and the clock is officially ticking.
It certainly is. Well, that's all the time we have for this week's deep dive. We hope this breakdown of the new Swissdamed requirements has been helpful. As always, we'll keep you updated as more information becomes available. Until next time, stay informed and stay compliant. Bye, guys.